Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, I hope that all of you are fine and I hope that you enjoyed your holidays and I hope that you are also giving some time to your studies because you know that you are going to have exams, inshallah. So, before exams, we need to revise all the topics that we have done in our syllabus. So, last time, what we were doing last time, we had started the hardware devices, and in hardware devices, we have covered the main memory RAM and its characteristics we had covered, and I had given you the data for this as well. What we are going to do today, we are going to discuss about the read-only memory. Read-only memory, which is basically the ROM. ROM is basically a chip which stores data and program inside it, which stored it inside it, and it stored it basically permanently. The data and instructions, the programs are stored permanently in it. As you can see over here, in these images that I have shared with you, such kind of such kind of chips are there which are installed on the motherboards or any other device that we are using. So ROM is not necessary that the ROM will be there in your computer systems only. It could be there in other devices, just like in ACs, in microwaves, in digital washing machines, in other modern equipments, in smart TVs, there are ROM chips which stores the program instructions permanently, which are there. And you know that display that you are getting in your AC, how this display is available in your microwave, how this display is available. So if you will see that from where this display is coming, so basically, there is a written program. There is a written program which is giving you that particular display. And that's why you are able to see that display on your screen. So there is a program inside a chip, and that chip is installed inside the system, whatever it is, whether it is a washing machine or it is an AC or in a micro or a microwave or even a motherboard of a computer system. So there is, of course, will you please keep yourself muted? And when you need to ask, then you will raise the hand and you can ask the question. So, of course, uh, there is a chip which stores this data and instructions permanently, which is called a RAM chip. So basically, what is meant by the ROM chip? ROM is a memory device or a storage medium that is used to store permanently the instructions and the data inside it. It is non-volatile. Non-volatile means even the power is off, the data is not going to be vanished. Data instructions program are not going to be vanished, not going to be removed. So, what is the example of the BIOS? BIOS example is basically the example of the ROM. BIOS is basically the famous example of the ROM. And in our computer system, there is a chip with the name of BIOS chip, which stores the basic input output function, basic input output system. And whenever we are going to switch on the computer system, so this is going to perform the operation. It is going to check all the components. It is going to see that all the components are working properly. Power and self test is performed, and of course the ROM is going to perform its function. As I have told you that ROM is also there in smartphones, tablet, ACs, television, modern television, and in washing machines, digital washing machines, in microwaves as well. So in your book, if we see our contents over there, there are some types also mentioned about the ROM. But the example which is mentioned is BIOS. BIOS programs are permanently stored in ROM when it is manufactured. You will see that basically it looks like it, as I have opened some images for you over here for the BIOS. This kind of ROM chips are there. Okay. When we switch on our computer system and we go to the start setup, so in this setup you will see that there is a program. So how this program comes when even when the Windows is not installed, so that setup program is basically stored inside the BIOS. So if you will go and you will see setup program of BIOS in computers. So you will see that basically there is a setup program, and you will see that that setup program will look like this. This will be a blue color environment. Even when the Windows is not installed, this setup program is visible to us, which is showing us what are our system characteristics, what are the different devices used in our system, okay, what is the vendor name, okay, all this information and the initial hardware settings are there in it. So this kind of environment will be there when even when the Windows is not installed on our system. So how this is available and how this is visible when the Windows is not installed, because this is there in the written in the BIOS chip. This is basically firmware. It is also called firmware. What is meant by firmware? Firmware means hardware inside, software inside the hardware. Means when a program or data is written in the chip, this is called firmware. Combination of hardware and software. Combination of hardware and software. But you are not going to call a CD a firmware. No, CD is not a firmware. That is the secondary storage. We are going to call the chips firmware, which are having written program in it. So firmware is the data that is stored on a computer's or other hardware device, just like ROM. So we call it ROM. We also call it firmware. We also call it firmware. And the famous example of the firmware is the BIOS chip. Otherwise, I have given you the examples that in the other devices as well, there are BIOS, there are ROM chips available. Okay. I hope that this is clear. There are some types of the BIOS systems, and there are some types of basically the ROM. We are talking about the ROM chips, read-only memory. Read-only memory contains BIOS setup. That is an example. So we don't need to mix them together. So what is meant by programmable read-only memory, which can be programmed, that we can program, is a form of digital memory where the setting of each bit is logged by a fuse or an anti-fuse. This type of read-only memory, which is basically programmable, we program it and then afterward it cannot be changed. This is called programmable read-only memory, that you program and then afterwards you cannot change it. But one more option is there in the ROM, which is called erasable programmable read-only memory, that you can erase and you can write. Erasable programmable read-only memory is a programmable read-only memory that can be erased and reused. Erasure is caused by shining an intense ultraviolet light through a window that is designed into the memory chip. Means that chip is basically allowing you to erase the data, to remove the data, remove the program and write it. Okay, you can remove the program and you can write it. This is called basically EPROM. EPROM means erasable programmable memory. So if you will go and if you will search it, so you will be able to know that basically it makes it possible for you to erase and write on the chip. And how this is possible? Because it contains such kind of mechanism that allows you to erase. Then there is a third type, which is called electronically erasable programmable read-only memory. This is called EEPROM, electronically erasable programmable memory, that can be erased and reprogrammed, returned to repeatedly. Now, repeatedly, this option is important. Repeatedly means n number of time. Over here we can do it, but over here we can do it n number of times. We can electronically erase and we can write the next program or data, we can erase and we can write the next program or data according to our need. Through the application of higher than normal electrical voltage, unlike EEPROM chips, EEPROM does not need to be removed from the computer to be modified. We can electronically we can erase and we can write the program on it. Of course, there are some specific mechanisms to electronically erase and then write the data and programs once again. Now come towards the characteristics. If a question comes for a 3 marks, here are some characteristics of the ROM. You can write data only once. However, once it is written, you can read it any number of times. A ROM chip is ROM. We are just talking about ROM, read-only memory. We are not talking about right now over here the electronically erasable, programmable. ROM chip is used mainly in the startup process of the modern computer. ROM non-volatile memory stores only several megabytes. You know, there won't be huge capacity like RAM in GBs. No, it will be in some megabytes, MBs. It will not allow you to store data in GBs or 16 GB RAM, just like so. It is not like RAM. ROM has some low capacity. It does not have that much capacity. We must understand over here. Okay, so about the RAM, we had studied that RAM is basically the primary storage, main storage. When we switch on computer system, the primary interaction of the user is there with the RAM. The data is going to enter into the RAM. The processing will be done by the CPU, but it will coordinate with the RAM and will take the data from the RAM and then will give the result to the RAM, and then the data will come to the output device from the RAM. So that is basically the main storage, primary storage. But over here, ROM is basically the permanent storage, non-volatile storage, but it is in less capacity. So what are the differences, between the RAM and the ROM? We need to understand the differences between the RAM and the ROM. We must understand that what are the differences. So over here, we are going to see these differences. Number one is, and normally, this question comes in your paper, write 3 differences between RAM and ROM. So we must remember what are the 3 differences. First one is about basic thing, that it is a read-write memory. We can read it and we can write. Because every time computer starts, RAM is going to be refreshed. So we can read and we can write. But ROM is only read-only memory. I gave you the example of BIOS. I gave you the example of the ROM chip of AC, digital washing machine, ROM chip in different devices. So this is read-only. We are not going to write it. Usage. What is basically the use? Used to store the data temporarily. It stores the data temporarily with the coordination of the CPU and of course the data which is currently being processed by the CPU. So first it will come to the RAM and then will go to the CPU. Now ROM stores the instructions required during bootstrap process. Bootstrap, as I told you, that this is the process of loading of operating system from secondary storage to main memory of the computer system. So it stores instructions permanently. Okay. This is also the difference which is written over here, volatility. It is basically volatile memory, RAM removable. Volatile means removable. ROM non-removable means non-volatile. RAM stands for random access memory and ROM stands for read-only memory. We can write this point in the beginning as well. At the first point, we can mention this thing. Capacity of the RAM is normally nowadays is in GBs, but ROM capacity is of course very less. So it has huge capacity, high capacity of storing data and instructions, but it has less capacity. ROM has less capacity if we compare it with the RAM. Cost of the RAM is high and cost of the ROM is cheap. So RAM is basically costly as compared to ROM. Okay, comparatively cheaper than the ROM. ROM is cheap, RAM is costly. What are the types? RAM has basically static and dynamic RAMs. These are the two types. And ROM, we have studied that programmable ROM is there, erasable programmable ROM is there, and electronically erasable programmable ROMs are there. So we need to, remember at least 5 points, so that if a question comes for 3 marks, so we should write at least 3, 4, 5 differences, so that we can get good marks. So I hope that the ROM is clear, and you are able to understand that thing as well, which is basically an important component of the computer system. Now come towards the cache memory. It is also called cache. It is also called cache. If you will go and you will see the pronunciation, you will be able to know that normally it is called cache memory or cache memory. Cache, we call it cache memory. Okay, cache memory. So we are not going to call it cache, but cache is also used. People also call it cache. So what is basically the cache memory or cache memory? We are going to discuss about it. Cache is basically fastest memory of the computer system, according to speed. But according to the storage capacity, it has very less storage. It is very less storage, in cache memory. Cache memory is a special, very high speed memory. It is used to speed up and synchronizing with high speed CPU. Synchronized with high speed CPU, because CPU speed is fast. So that's why cache is basically a memory which is there to support the CPU. And of course, it is going to play an important role during the processing of the data. Cache memory is costlier than main memory and disk memory, and economical than CPU registers. If we will compare its cost with the CPU registers, it is cheap. But if we will compare its cost with the RAM and ROM and memory devices just like hard drive, CD, so it's very costly. Now, question arises, what does it do? It holds frequently requested data and instructions at the time of processing. This is basically its job. What does it do? It holds frequently requested data and instructions so that they are immediately available to the CPU. Available to the CPU. So whenever CPU is processing, so cache memory is going to take the data from the RAM and will hold it, and will, when the CPU will give the instructions, it will hand it over to the CPU for the sake of processing. Fine, this is clear. Now, where it is located? Now, this point is important. Where cache is located? Where it is? It is on the motherboard or it is inside the CPU? We need to know about it. Basically, there are 3 types of cache memory. There are 3 types of cache memory. L1, L2, and L3. These are the 3 types of the cache memories. Now we need to understand L1 memory, L1 cache memory, or primary cache memory. It is called the initial cache memory, primary cache memory, is extremely fast but relatively small. Its size is small, speed is fast, and usually embedded inside the processor. It will be there inside the processor. If you will go and you will see in your book, you will be able to see that L1 cache memory is there inside the processor. Okay, L2 and L3 are there on the motherboard. L2 and L3 are there on the motherboard. But what we are saying that L1 has more speed than L2 and L3. We must know, because L1 is there inside the CPU. Okay, but they work with the coordination. They work with the coordination of the L1, L2, and L3. They communicate with the RAM and they take the data from the RAM and will provide to the microprocessor for the sake of processing. So L1 cache or primary cache is extremely fast but relatively small in size and is usually embedded inside the processor. Now L2 and L3 caches are bigger than L1, means their size will be comparatively large. Comparatively, I'm not saying that it is very large. If we compare it with L1, it will be large, but their speed will not be that much good as L1 has. They are extra cache built between the CPU and the RAM, means these will be on the motherboard. Sometimes L2 is built into the CPU with L1, but sometimes. But if you will go to your text book, it says that it is there on the motherboard. It is not there in the CPU. Keep in mind. So L2 and L3 cache take slightly longer to access than L1. Means these are not that much fast as the L1 cache is. The more L2 and L3 memory available, the faster a computer can run. Okay, so it means that L2 and L3, they have their own advantages. Okay, and they are going to collaborate means they are going to work together with the L1 cache memory. Okay, so I hope that these all points are clear, that cache is a memory, number one. Cache is the fastest memory, number two. Cache will be there in the inside the CPU, and cache will be there on the motherboard. Fine. There are three types of caches: L1, L2, and L3. L1 is there in the CPU. L1, L2, and L3 will be there on the motherboard. L1 will be the fastest, and L2 will be comparatively slow, and L3 will be slow. But the size of the L1 will be small, but the size of the L1 and L2 and L3 will be comparatively large. We are not saying that it is very large. So now we see that what is written in the book. There are three types of cache memories, which are level 1, L1, and level 2, L2, and level 3, L3. And this diagram is very important for us, this diagram. So we can find out cache memory diagram. So we are going to see some different diagrams, of the cache memories. That cache memory will be there inside the CPU and will be there also on the motherboard. Anyway, so in my notes, what I can do, I can take the screenshot over here, for this image. And I'm going to crop it for you so that this should also be available in our notes. I am going to provide you this data. Don't you worry about it. Okay. Now come towards the. I hope cache is clear. If you have got any question, please ask me right now. If you have got anything to ask, please ask me. Anything that you would like to clear, please ask me right now. What is cache memory? How it is different? What is the difference between RAM and ROM? Okay. So you can raise the hand. You will raise the hand and then you will ask me the question. So this is basically the classification of the memory. Primary storage contains RAM and ROM. RAM has static and dynamic types. ROM are there programmable, erasable, programmable, and electronically erasable, programmable. If we go to secondary storage, there is hard disk drive, magnetic tape, CD, DVD, zip drives, flash memories. And similarly, if we see the other types of the memory, cache and registers are there. Cache we have studied and registers are also there, inshallah, that we'll discuss about. Now come towards our next topic, which is meant by port. Port is basically a location on the computer system from where, in the system unit, from where data can in and can come out. If you will see the backside of your CPU, if you will see the backside of your CPU, you will see that there are some ports given over here, which are basically the component of the motherboard. This is called IO channel. IO channel means there are input and output ports available. from where data will go inside using input device, or data will come outside using output device. Okay. If you have attached mouse, of course, data is going in. Using mouse, you are giving commands, data is going inside the computer system. Of course, you will attach the mouse with the USB, or you will attach the mouse with the PS2 if it is there in the system. PS2 is also a port for the mouse and the keyboard. This one is basically the PS2. Anyway, so port is basically the component of the computer system which allows you to in the data or to out the data, to get in the data or to get out the data. I hope this thing is clear. Now there are different types of ports available. What are the different types of ports? Just like audio port, VGA port, HDMI port, USB port. These are the different types of ports available. So in computer hardware, a port serves as an interface between the computer and other components. Okay. Just like you are attaching the mouse, keyboard, printer, scanner, USB flash memory. So these are basically called the peripheral devices that you are attaching. Peripheral devices that you are attaching with your computer system. In computer terms, a port generally refers to the part of computing device available for connection to the peripherals such as input and output devices. Computer port have many uses. Many uses means, of course, the main use is to switch in the data and to bring out the data. Fine. A monitor, webcam, speaker, or other peripheral devices, these are attached with the using ports. On the physical layer of the communication, a computer port is specialized outlet on a piece of equipment to which a plug or cable connects. I hope these all points are clear to all these students. So these are the ports that I have already shown you in these diagrams as well. This is basically complete port channel is called IO channel. Okay, this is also there in the laptops systems. You will be able to see that this is there in the laptop systems as well. Now come towards the next one, which is basically the expansion slots. When you need to enhance the capacity of your system, then you are going to use the expansion slots. Slots are there on the motherboard, just like this kind of slot. This will be there. This is called PCI slot. These are there in the white color. These are called PCI slot. Okay. Okay. Similarly, if you will see, there are other types of slots are also available, just like AGP slot, advanced graphic processor. AGP slot is there, which is basically used to connect the graphics card AGP. Okay. PCI slot is there in which you can insert any card, just like network card, sound card. If your sound port is not working, sometime it happens that we are using our system from a long time and we did not use the, let's suppose, mic port and the speaker, and afterwards it is not working now. So we can attach a sound card in the PCI slot, peripheral component interface. PCI stands for peripheral component interface, this white color. This is PCI Express. This is small one, PCI Express. Okay, PCIe slot. This is also there. Okay, so there are different types of slots available. Slots give you the chance to insert some other devices, graphics card, game cards, 3D cards, which are not there in your system. The capacity which is not there in your system, you can attach that particular card. If you need to connect the TV cable with your system, so you can insert the TV card. Okay, TV card, when you will use the TV card, it is going to give you a port. It is going to give you a port on your, this port will not be available. This port will, this TV cable port is not available on our PCs. If we will use the TV card, then TV cards are nowadays available in the USB connectivity as well. But normally the TV card look like this. When you will insert it, you will see that it will show you the port. This is the basically port, which is basically the port for the TV, which will be available. One pin coaxial cable connector. So the slots are going to extend the capacity of your system. Expansion cards will be inserted in the slots. There is a relation between the card and the slot. Slot where you insert the card. Slot is basically, these are the slots that I have shown you in the figures. These are the slots: PCI slot, PCIe, ISA slot, and these are the cards. This is a card. This is a card that you are going to insert in the slot. So you don't need to mix them together. Okay. So I have also mentioned the examples over here. I hope the expansion slots and expansion cards, both things are clear. Okay, let me mark the attendance over here. And then we will move towards the next point. Up to here, if you have got any question, please ask me. Have you got any question? Okay. Please now see this input basic operations of computer system. So ports are written in your system, in your book, and expansion slots and cards are mentioned. So I have explained them quite conveniently. We can also write one question over here to differentiate. Differentiate between between the slot, expansion slot, and expansion card. We can also write this thing as well. So I will also include it. Basic operations of computer systems. Now, what are the basic operations of computer system? This is also called the computer processing cycle. Basically, this is called the processing cycle of computer. And normally we also called it basic operations of computers. Basic operations of computer. What are these operations? You can see on your screen: input operation, processing operation, storage operation, and output operation. These are the operations. And this is quite simple thing, that you give input to the computer system. It is going to take input using some input device. You are going to use some input device to give input to the computer system, and input will be for the data and instructions. Input will be for data and instructions. Now, when the system will take the input, and of course, it is going to process that input, what you want to do with the data. For example, you are making an Excel sheet where you are calculating the results of different students. So you are going to apply some formula to make total, percentage, grade. So whatever the processing is there, that will be done by the CPU. Okay. So in input, we are using the devices like keyboard, mouse, some devices like that. In processing, there is a role of the central processing unit. And then it is going to process it according to the requirement of the user. And then there is storage. Of course, when you have done something, you are going to store that data, and you can store that data in the permanent storage or in the hard storage. Okay. And then you can also take the output. For example, normally the output is visible on your screen, but you can take the output in the printed format. If it is there in the 3D model form, you can print it. If it is an audio file, you can listen it using using speaker, which is basically an output device. So you will use the concerned output device to get the result. You will use the concerned output device to get the result. So there are input devices involved, there is processing device involved, there are storage devices involved, and there are output devices involved in this process. I hope all these points are clear to all these students. If you have got any question, please ask me.